I want to explain it to you. How do I feel about him running for mayor? Well, my easy hedge is I don't vote in New York City. But I am enthusiastic. Look, here's what I can tell you about my brother. I don't care how you feel about his politics. My brother is a tough guy. He's a fixer. He knows how to work within government really well, and he's been really tested. And he's learned a lot of lessons. Some because of what he did right, a lot because of what didn't go right for him. Okay? That's his case to make to you. I ain't making it. I will tell you this. I look forward to the people getting to decide his political fate. I think it's really, it makes more sense, even dare I say the word fair, because I don't really believe in fairness in politics. But this is a better result for my brother than having to resign. Let the people decide. And the people should decide. By the way, I believe this about Mayor Adams also. Just go back and look at my coverage. I didn't know whether my brother was going to run or not. I knew that indictment against Adams was weak sauce. Now we hear much later that they were going to add more to it, but they didn't. And I think that the deal that Trump made him is weak sauce and unfair to Adams. Putting hooks in him like that until the election's over. Well, then we'll look again. I mean, come on. How's that not extortion on some level? Not legally, but, operatively. That you have hooks in the guy like that. Pardon him or dismiss with prejudice. The charges are gone or they're not gone. So I thought that was all unfair to Mayor Adams. Okay? So what does that tell you? Well, that's what I've been saying, and that's what I think. Oh, but your brother's running against him. Okay. And the people will decide. And I'm okay with that more than you are. Why? Because I've had to grow up watching my family exposed to this kind of scrutiny. I have had to learn to have a level of objectivity about my own that most don't. I'm still obviously biased towards my own family, certainly my brother. But I've had to watch since I was, 9, 10. Exactly. My father be scrutinized by the media. My family scrutinized by the media. I remember a reporter asking me, my mother gets mugged, right? I don't know, 10, 11. I get out of the car. I'm in the back of the car. I'm upset because I didn't want to go grocery shopping after my Little League baseball game where I'm sure I struck out 100 times. And I was sitting in the back seat upset. This guy comes up on my mom when she's getting out of the car and grabs her with her grocery bags. I get out. I say, what are you doing? And he sees me, lets go of my mom. She drops her purse. She says, because she was afraid of what was going to happen to me. Whatever. I take a swing at the guy with the bat, miss him. I told you I couldn't hit shit. It was probably, I'm sure I'd have a terrible game in Little League also that day. I then chase him. He jumps into the back of the car, takes off. Makes news. Why? Because my father was getting in politics at that time. He ran for mayor. He lost in 1977. But I got to tell you, I don't agree that the city is where it was back then, but people feel like it does. I mean, I lived it. You know what I'm saying? We were in Queens, and I was in and out of the boroughs all the time. We were a precocious lot. When you were 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, you were on subways. You were going places in Queens. It's not like today where someone's got to hold your hands everywhere forever until you're like in college. And I remember that. And a reporter actually asked me, why didn't you catch him? Like, that's what I've had to grow up with, okay? Like, why didn't you catch him? Did you want to let him go? Yeah, I wanted to let the guy who mugged my mom go. No, I wanted to crack his head with the bat. That's what I wanted to do. I missed. Why? Because I'm a shitty baseball player. That's why. That's why I learned how to fight with my hands, because the whole swinging of the bat thing didn't work. So I've grown up with this. So I have a level of objectivity that you may not, but that doesn't mean I'm objective or anything near fair when it comes to judging my family. I'm very protective of my brother. I have a lot of reservations about him exposing himself to this. I understand why his daughters said they wish that he didn't feel that this was necessary. But just like my father, he does. And I don't. I would never run for political office. Why? Because I don't believe in the process. I think it's too ugly. I think it's too low percentage. And I don't believe you people deserve that much of me. I think I give too much already, not in terms of personal sacrifice, but of my wife and kids and the family that I choose, who are all exposed to whatever you decide to say and feel about me and my professional life. They have to live with that. And I can't believe that I still did that to my own after growing up that way and knowing that I didn't want that for my own, and yet I still did it. As my mother would say, allora va bene. And so, okay, let's move on. My brother's running for mayor. My brother's running for attorney general. My brother's running for governor. My brother's running for mayor. I'm for my brother. I love my brother. I support my brother. I believe in my brother. That's the end of the analysis for me. Okay? Why does my commitment to my brother mean anything different than your commitment to your brother? Well, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you're the same. Maybe you're better to your brother, to your siblings than I am. I'm not a great anything, okay? My brother is not just a brother. My brother raised me, okay? My father, may he rest in peace, would admit, own, and probably embellish everything I'm saying right now. My father was so committed to you people, so committed to public service. He gave it everything. He saw it as a privilege that came first, before my mom, before his family. I'm not saying he didn't care about his family. He did. But he believed in public service. It was like holy to him. And Andrew has that. But when Andrew was younger, Andrew is 13 years older than I am, okay? Wow. Now, a couple things. One, he's aging better than I am. I know, it's amazing. But he really is 13 years older. And he is not taller than I am, okay? I bent down in a picture as a joke and as a good reflection of what the media is really about. They use that picture all the time. You know why? Because it's bad for me. And negativity is a proxy for insight. And that's what the media too often is about, or too many in the media are that way. Shouldn't generalize. There's some people who do the job the right reasons, the right way. There's some who don't. And let me tell you, I'll take the real media over the pod people any day. Yep. Okay? I'll take people who you think may have an axe to grind any day over. Okay? But Andrew is the guy who taught me how to ride a bike, taught me how to throw a ball, taught me how to tackle, taught me how to defend myself, taught me why I had to defend myself, taught me what my responsibilities were to my sisters, my parents, him, my grandparents. He got me involved in sports, took me to these places, taught me about cars. He taught me about cleaning and responsibility and protecting. He taught me those things. Why? Where was my father? He was in public service. Remember, I'm much younger than my siblings. I'm 16 years younger than my oldest sibling. Andrew is not the oldest. He ain't the oldest, and he ain't the smartest in my family. And I would argue he ain't the most accomplished in my family. My sisters, who were smart enough to keep their names out of your mouths, have done amazing things. Doctors, lawyers, Oscar-nominated documentary makers, running homeless housing, starting charities, studying the relationship of food to cancer. I mean, amazing things. They've raised amazing children. They're just smart enough to not need to be in the public spotlight the same way.
That's good.
So when I think about my duty to my brother, this is a guy who, in a simple but-for analysis, I'm not where I am. I'm not who I am. That's where I'm coming from.
Why?
That's why helping my brother in a jam is a no-brainer. with absolutely no time to think about what it would mean for me. I don't know what it would mean for me if I didn't. Support comes from Cozy Earth. Cozy Earth products are designed to transform your 5 to 9. That's the time that matters most, right? 5 to 9, that's when you need the coziest sanctuary. Luxury starts where you rest. Look, the bedroom is a very sacred space, not just because of what you do in there, but because of how you do it. Comfort, temperature control. That's what Cozy Earth's best-selling bamboo sheets are all about. They are so soft. They regulate temperature and 5-star comfort every night and incredible durability and an amazing guarantee. That's why I love them. Luxury should not be out of reach. Visit CozyEarth.com/Chris. Use my exclusive code. You'll get 40% off the sheets, the towels, the pajamas, and more. That's CozyEarth.com/Chris. And if you get a post-purchase survey, please tell them you heard about Cozy Earth right here on the podcast, all right? Sanctuary awaits at Cozy Earth. Support for the Chris Cuomo Project comes from Factor. Okay, if you go to my Substack and join, you will become part of my wellness health reclamation program, and I am using Factor meals, and so far, so good. I've gotten rid of that first batch of bloat, inflammation. Why? Better food. Factor has all the nutritional information on the back. They balance sodium with protein and carbs, with everything that you need in a way that will help you sustain my weight loss goals. How does Factor do that? They have chef-made gourmet meals that make the eating part easy. They're tasty. They're also dietitian approved, and they're easy. Ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes. Eat smart with Factor. I'll make it simple. You want to eat smart? Use Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast, and you get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code FACTORPODCAST at factormeals.com/factorpodcast, and you will get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. So, if he matters so much, why aren't I quitting my job and running his campaign? Because he doesn't want me to. Why? Because he has better. That's why. But I'm not the best at that. I may know my brother better than anybody else, but that's not necessarily an asset. He knows what he's doing. This man is a pro's pro when it comes to governance. Smart as hell. And I learned from him, watching him. He got put into politics at 18. He ran my father's first campaign. He had to become my father's tough guy. He had to become my family's tough guy. Because my father, he was a beautiful philosopher, romantic believer in politics, in virtue, in God. And he was not well suited or acquitted to a lot of the aggressive, muscular, Machiavellian aspects of campaigning and of governance. And he told my brother, that has to be you. Now, Andrew has always been a natural protector. It's who he is. He is not someone to get sideways with if he thinks you're doing the wrong thing or if he thinks you're part of a problem. If Andrew likes you, you know it, and you've got a friend that you can count on. If he does not like you, you know it, and you've got an enemy you can count on. Like it, don't like it, that's your choice. Uniquely so with him when he wants your vote. But that's a choice he made. The choice I make is I love my brother. And if I thought that me being involved with his campaign would be better for him, then I would. But I know he has better. There's also no question I do what I do better than what he does. And being in that world. I mean, I know it as a student, as someone who's lived it for 40 years of my 54 years. And by the way, I'm being generous there. It's actually longer than 40 years. I'm just starting to get a little sensitive about my age, I think. I'm 54. My father's been in this game since I was like 8. I broke my collarbone. Yeah, I break my collarbone falling off the top of a refrigerator. How I got there, we'll leave to history. But who takes me to the hospital? My brother. We had an event. I was like 7, 8. They had an event. My father was running for mayor. Who figured out how to cut my coat so that I could get it on my shoulder? Andrew. Who figured out how I was going to get another coat when my mom freaked out that I had just cut up my reversible blue and orange husky parka? Andrew. Andrew. In my life, it's always been Andrew. It's not to say that my sisters aren't phenomenal influences and caretakers in my life and always have been. Want to hear a funny story? I'm in military school. Another thing that'll be left to history as to why I wound up there. I see that they are selling a sandwich called a grilled cheese. You're like, yeah, we know what grilled cheese is. Guess who didn't? Me. I thought those sandwiches were called girl cheeses. Why? Because my sisters Maria and Madeline were the only ones I'd ever seen make them before. We never ate out. Never. I cannot tell you remembering being with my family except once at a Chinese restaurant. I don't even know why we were there, other than political things. Ever. Families in Queens where you ate at home. You ate together. I don't know. So now you're saying, wow, he's dumber than I thought he was. No, it's just an unsophisticated background. You see, one of the things that makes my family interesting to people in the media and in politics is because of that alchemy. Very middle class upbringing. My father, first generation born in this country, less than, not seen as a white guy, seen as an ethnic, marginalized, told he was less than, even in school, made to forced, he would say, to share high honors, valedictorian, with Irish people or other ethnicities who were considered better, couldn't get a job on Wall Street, although he was an incredibly talented and high-achieving law student and then lawyer, because he was Italian. And he knew it, and it made him crazy. And it drove his passion for purpose. Blue collar, I was a paper boy, Little League, paper boy for the New York Post of all rags. Regular place, sister got mugged, mother got mugged, fights on the street, guys coming through the neighborhood, breaking into houses, stealing bikes, watching Andrew pay his way through school, finding cars, souping them up, racing them, selling them, working AAA. He did. Andrew's a master mechanic because he worked AAA. Do you even know what that is? 24-hour call. Wearing his shirt, Andy on it, hates being called that. Don't know why, but he does. Nobody calls him that. Anybody who ever says, oh yeah, I know Andy. No, they don't know him. They might as well say, yeah, I know. Instead of calling me Chris, call me Penelope. So we went from that experience to my father unbelievably winning a gubernatorial election and moving into the mansion. So when I was 11, 12 years old, I wound up moving into the governor's mansion. Who explained to me, and not well enough because I wound up getting in trouble and getting sent to military school? Andrew. Who ran the campaign? Andrew. He was in his mid-20s. Who took me up to Albany? Andrew. Who helped me when I couldn't understand what the hell I was doing in Albany, which was like Cracker-town compared to where I grew up? Andrew. Why am I in the media? Andrew. My father hated the media. He couldn't believe, I tell you this as a joke, it wasn't a joke. He used to say, why can't you do something that's more beneficial to society, like sell drugs? As a joke, because he thought the media was so abused. He would think it even more today with digital media. It's so irresponsible. It's so obvious that everybody's just playing to advantage. It was Andrew. Andrew knew that I wasn't loving what I was doing in the law and what I was doing in finance. And Tim Russert, who was very tight with my brother, who had left working for my father and went into what was supposed to be management at NBC, and he wound up being on camera and ushering in a new era of political savvy and commentating on Meet the Press. Timmy was there when I was growing up. And Andrew talked to him and he talked to me about why they thought that this would be a good fit for me and that I should consider it, even though it was going to be really hard because of who my pop was. There's this misconception that being a Cuomo helped me in the business. I couldn't get a job. It's not like today where the name gets you the job. I wasn't Jenna Bush. I was a political operative as far as they were concerned, even though I wasn't, in a time when there were none on TV. They didn't really have outsiders at all until OJ, when lawyers started to get put on TV as journalists. And I do believe lawyers, especially those who practiced, have a huge advantage in the media over those who haven't. They just understand the workings of society, argumentation, confrontation much better. Yeah. I don't just say that because I am one. I say that because I see it. So I owe him so much, and the rest of my siblings. It's just they're not running for office, right? I mean, I would back them the same way. Crushed me that my sister didn't win the Oscar the other night. I thought she was going to. I thought her documentary short was the best, Death by Numbers. And it bummed me out, so much so that I ate a half a gallon ice cream. I probably would have eaten it if she had won also, though, to be honest. I love my family. They've been phenomenal to me. And I think that's what makes us a little different. Everybody says they love their family. Everybody's going to be tested. We've been tested a little bit more out loud and maybe a little bit more deeply than some. Not all, not even most, but some. And it's created a unique bond. And when it comes to what's right and wrong, and you go with your gut, my gut was formed by much as anything of watching my family. And not just my siblings and my parents. I married somebody who's a way better person than I am. I often feel bad for her that she married me, except for the kids. Other than that, I know she could have done so much better and such a better life than being exposed to this bullshit. She's in the wellness business of how to live a more pure life. Company's called Purist. It's so getting away from extraneous negativity and influences that don't help you down to a vibrational level. And she marries this jackass who goes into the media and gets involved with the political maelstrom. I mean, what's more toxic than that? So I am surrounded by people, my friends too. I believe my magic ability, which helps me in this business tremendously, is to draw better people to me. Yeah. My friends are all better examples of what I want to be than I am. It's weird. And they get along so well with each other, even though they all come from different worlds and different parts of my life. And a big part of that in shaping me and making me what I value and what I don't is, of course, my brother. And now I got to talk about it. Why? Because of what happened. Support comes from Oracle. All right, look, I don't know where you are in AI. You may think that too much is being made of it. It's coming. All right, self-driving cars, molecular medicine, research. I mean, you're going to see it everywhere in terms of business efficiencies. And if it's not in your industry yet, it's coming and it's coming fast. But what do we know about AI for sure? It needs speed and computing power. So how do you do that without your costs going crazy? Time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is blazing fast. It is a secure platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, plus all your AI and machine learning workloads. OCI costs 50% less for compute and 80% less for networking. Thousands of businesses have already upgraded to OCI, including big companies like Vodafone, Thomson Reuters, and Suno AI. Right now, Oracle is offering to cut your current cloud bill in half if you move to OCI. For new U.S. customers with minimum financial commitment, you're going to get a great jump start. But this offer ends March 31st. See if your company qualifies for this special offer at oracle.com/CCP. That's oracle.com/CCP. Support comes from Bamboo HR. As a small business owner, we all wear lots of hats, but let's admit it, HR is the one hat nobody wants to wear. There's so many nuances, not to mention it's really time consuming, unless you're using Bamboo HR. Powerful, yet flexible, all-in-one HR solution for growing businesses. It allows you to stop spending so many hours on payroll, time tracking, bennies, performance management. With Bamboo HR, those hours are shaved down to minutes. That's why over 34,000 companies trust Bamboo HR, because it's an integrated system that's designed to handle your current and upcoming HR needs. Plus, Bamboo HR prides itself on being easy. Easy to use, easy to learn, easy to implement, and very easy to love. Look, HR is hard. Bamboo HR is easy. Reclaim your time. Check out the free demo at bamboohr.com/free demo. See for yourself all that Bamboo HR can do and how truly affordable it can be as well. That's bamboohr.com/free demo. bamboohr.com/free demo. Now, what's interesting is if you look at how this is covered, it won't be because I'm being so comprehensive here that it's going to be too frustrating and tedious for people to pick apart. And they got to be a little bit careful about picking it apart because I have the entire thing and I will show how people take what I say out of context.
Hi. I know, it's so funny. I told my husband, I was like, put an alarm on your phone. I'll put an alarm on my phone.
But why did I have to talk about it in News Nation? Oh, because of why I got kidnapped.
And he's like, hey, it's Boots time. I was like,
it's time. My brother's
not.
Oh,
that's
so
sweet.
Thank you. Do you know how many people are pushing him to
I would
run?
have forgotten because Sunday,
I've never seen this before in terms of his political. I remember with my father,
Jay.
But not with Andrew.
But yeah,
I get why him being in the middle of a scandal was one thing.
I have been,
but I think they were out to get him and me.
Probably told me,
and they succeeded.
He probably told me a lot of times.
And
I
it's very different when he's just running for office. This isn't new to the media. There are many people in the media who have had family members, spouses, run for office, serve in government. They didn't leave the media.
I was in pre-law. And I remember
and I won't either.
Full perception
and there's no need.
Of
there's no legal or even ethical obligation. I just won't cover the campaign. I could cover it here. Why?
Like I was big on. I wanted to change.
You don't get to have your own life anymore. This is a rule that only applies to me. Like these other little edicts that the media came up with. Because the media never advises politicians who are in crisis.
Because there's so many people,
right? Even if they cover them,
probably have died that didn't need to.
How many out there are praying? I don't say their names right now. Of who I know have advised my brother,
to what the defense,
my father, other politicians in my 25 plus years as a journalist, where I've heard people brag about how they were involved with Clinton or Bush or Obama. Or Biden or Trump. And how, they wanted my take on what's going on. And I told them in a bit.
He went through the criminology courses.
Bragging about it. Only to say, like some high priest, oh, well, we all know you don't get involved with a politician. We don't advise politicians. Fuck you don't. But look, life is hypocrisy. Life is pain management. Life is unfairness. Life is you getting good outcomes that you don't deserve and bad outcomes that you don't deserve. That is life. And I have been through it just like you. Way easier than so many lives that I've covered. So much easier. I lost my job. It's nothing compared to what I've watched so many people overcome and succumb to. So I get it. I always have. It's always given me a perspective that I needed and that has been helpful for me in going through things that were hard for me. Maybe they wouldn't have been as hard for you, right? Maybe you wouldn't even have the same concerns for your brother in him exposing himself to public scrutiny again. I don't know. Some of the things it helps me understand better. I saw Don Lemon the other day doing a piece about walking next to some friend of his, I guess, saying, do you think Andrew's going to win? Do you think so? Like it's some extension of his man on the street stuff. And he casually says, you know, at some point in one of his videos, well, you know, Chris isn't my friend. Yeah, I'm not my friend because he decided to trade our friendship for a job. And I get it. I get it. I get why he did it. It's not like I'm waiting to see Don in the village that we both live in so I could, you know, bang his head off the ground. That's not who I am. It's not how I am. I understand. I understand why he did what he did. But I have a pretty simple condition for the guys in my life and the women too, who are my friends. You ride or die. I'm there for my friends, especially when times are tough, especially when it's inconvenient. And if that's not you, then that's not you. That's fine. I don't hold it against people. This is a tricky business, man. Yeah. And when your boss, who's also a friend, tells you something and it's good for you to believe it, that's what people do. And I get it. And I don't want to relitigate it, and I'm not blaming. And I wish them well. I wish everybody well that I worked with. I do. I care about that place. I care about them. I don't believe that you live your life treating people the way they treat you.
Yep.
I don't believe that. I believe that you try to do good, and when struggle comes your way, and it does, you got to figure out how to love that struggle. You got to love it. You don't just embrace it, because that's where your consistency gets sideways. You got to learn to lean into what's hard in your life. And that's easy to say and hard to do, but that's how it is. So, you know, you're hearing all these people, whether it's Don or CNN, or everybody's talking about my brother now running. Does that give me lots of feels? Yeah, it gives me lots of feels. It gives me all the feels. Why? Because I don't see him the way you do. I don't see him the way you do. I see him as somebody who, now that my kids are older, I would step in front of my brother no matter what was coming after him.